Looking back on my high school years, my greatest fear was always teacher assignment. Our class chose seats by academic rank, though I picked first every time. The desk beside me always stayed empty in the end. No one wanted to sit next to me. I never understood why at first. One day, heading into the restroom, I froze at the sound of mocking laughter. As if anyone would sit with Xiao Huizhu. She reeks of paint. It's revolting. I quietly turned away and climbed to the restroom reserved for Senior 3 students. I twisted the faucet and scrubbed my hands raw, then splashed cold water harshly against my cheeks. It was no use. The stench still lingered. I returned to class with damp hair only when the bell rang. Stepping inside, I saw an unfamiliar boy standing at the podium. He was extraordinarily overweight, the largest boy I had ever seen, short in stature. He stood shoulder to shoulder with our 165 cm homeroom teacher. I overheard classmates whispering crudely, "He looks just like a hippo." Whether he heard them or not, his hand faltered mid-minus writing. Then he scrawled 3 round, plump characters on the blackboard: Xiao Yusheng. I nearly smiled. His handwriting matched his build perfectly. I round moon, slow and heavy, struggling to rise over mountain peaks. After his introduction, the teacher assigned his seat. A girl in the front row eased loudly. "Sit by Xiao Huizhu. Her spot's empty." Laughter erupted across the room, sharp and knowing. My head drooped in humiliation. Bitter and resentful, I built a thick wall of heavy textbooks between our desks the moment Xiao Yusheng sat down. A cold Berlin wall separating us. "What's your name?" he asked softly, hesitant and gentle. "Pay attention in class," I muttered, staring rigidly at the teacher and tapping the name printed on the bottom book of my barrier. Glancing at the characters, he asked again, "Can I call you Xiu?" "No." "Be quiet," I snapped, irritated by the interruption mid-minus lesson. Xiao Yusheng fell silent at last. I stole a glance and found him fast asleep, slumped over his desk. I said nothing, focusing on taking notes. When class ended, he pulled an assortment of imported snacks from his bag and held several packs out to me. Staring at the colorful front packaging, I shook my head. "We can't eat snacks in class." "All right." He stuffed everything back quietly. Guilt crept over me. Had I been far too cold? I had unfairly lashed out at him for the cruelty of others. "I know you actually. Your family runs Bright Moon Salon." I've had my hair done there. His family's salon chain was the largest in the city, famous for his mother's vibrant rainbow afro. Xiao Yusheng's own haircut was plain a thick buzz cut that only made his round head look bigger. "Regular customer, huh?" He smiled, pulling a tiny portable hairdo from his bag. "Let me dry your hair for you." I froze in shock. No one brought a hairdo to school. Truly, salon life ran deep in his blood. The sun shone bright that day. Green classroom glass dyed the golden magnolia leaves outside a vivid emerald hue. Tao Yusheng and I skipped morning exercises with a weak excuse. The teacher's office was empty, and we easily slipped to a wall socket by the entrance. Handing me the hairdo, he explained, "I brought this for boarding school. I never boarded at my old school, but no 3 high forces every student to live on campus." I hummed quietly, then asked, "Can you smell it?" "Smell what?" He blinked in confusion. "The paint on my clothes. Can you smell it?" I stared straight into his eyes. "That." His brows furrowed, then relaxed. "I smell a faint scent of paint. To me, it smells sweet." I stared, stunned. "Sweet?" "Absolutely. When my parents first opened their salon, Mom painted the shop herself to save money. I grew up surrounded by buckets of paint. Every new branch meant fresh paint fumes." I folded the hairdo neatly, watching him. "The paint scent has always felt warm to me," he said with a simple, honest grin. "It smells like hope." I gazed blankly at the rustling trees outside. A strange soft warmth settling in my chest, indescribable, yet oddly comforting. Even so, her bond remained distant after that day. I still kept my guard up, loud, overweight, and struggling with grades. Xiao Yusheng was overlooked and ostracized by everyone. His hardest moments came during morning exercises. One routine required bending forward to touch the ground. Boys already lacked flexibility, but Chao Yusheng's large frame made it impossible. He could barely reach his knees, his broad back towering high while every other student bowed low. Tang Zenying called, beautiful top student and student council president, spotted him instantly from the podium. Male student in row 1 class 2, grade 2. 10 demerit points for your class if you do not cooperate fully. Her icy voice blared through the speakers. Every eye locked onto us, and cruel laughter swelled across the yard, loud and unrestrained. Chao Yusheng's face burned crimson. He strained desperately, beads of sweat rolling down his forehead, yet his short, thick fingers could never stretch far enough. He sagged with relief the second the exercise ended. After dismissal, the homeroom teacher called him to the office alone. Passing by two-hand in homework, I overheard a cold reprimand. "Don't drag your whole class down." He trundled out listlessly in his brown sweater. "Why doing instability like a wounded brown bear?" Watching him trudge toward the senior 3 restroom upstairs, my heart ached. Just like me, he fled to empty higher-floor restrooms to hide his tears, avoiding the mocking stares of our grade. "Jushu, what are you doing here?" I hesitated, then lied quickly. The downstairs girls' restroom was full. He nodded quietly. I noticed his bloodshot eyes, his small slit head eyes narrowed to thin reed lines. "Were you crying?" He stayed silent. "Everyone messes up sometimes," I offered awkwardly. "It's just a silly moment. No one will remember in a few days." Voice small and raw, he whispered, "I can't look foolish in front of her, not even for a second." "Huh?" His face flushed bright red. He mumbled a name shyly. Tang Zenying. 3 that day, I learned the truth. This gentle brown bear had transferred to our school solely for his childhood crush. Chao Yusheng told me he had studied violin for 5 years as a child, while Tang Zenying took piano lessons from his music teacher's wife. They had been musical partners, performing Schubert's Sonata in A major D 574 together in perfect harmony. Their lessons ended when the couple moved abroad, and he lost touch with her entirely. Years later, passing No 3 High, he spotted her name on the honor roll and immediately begged his parents to transfer schools. He smiled faintly, proud of his bold decision. I shattered his daydream softly. "She doesn't seem to remember you." "I was always like this," he stammered, small and defeated. I was this heavy before. Moved by his quiet sorrow, I blurted out, "It'll help you." Instantly, I regretted my impulsiveness. His eyes lit up. "Really? I'll find the right moment," I compromised. From then on, he treated me with endless kindness. Secret snacks appeared in my bag every morning. He took on most cleaning duties during our duty rosters. Drowsy and tired each day, he would jolt awake at the first sound of my cough, rushing to fetch hot water for me without hesitation. Staring at our discarded textbook barrier, I often wondered how deeply he would cherish Tang Zenying, treating a mere friend with such pure, sincere care. Chewing the raisins he'd given me, I realized sadness lingered not only on the tongue, but deep within the heart. For our first and only fight broke out after final exams, on parent-teacher conference day. My mother arrived in crude work clothes, rushing straight from her painting job. Her blue uniform was splattered with white paint, emblazoned with bold purple characters Bohemia paint. Every other mother arrived polished and elegant. Only mine stood plain and worn. Tears stung my eyes the second I spotted her waving awkwardly at the staircase. Begging her to a quiet corner, I snapped angrily, "Why would you come dressed like this?" Bewildered, she asked, "I only came for a quick meeting." "What's wrong?" Her casual indifference enraged me. She never understood the daily humiliation I endured, the careful masks I wore to hide my paint-stained family. This conference was not just a school event, it was my fragile self-esteem. I swallowed my pain, tears spilling over. "We're leaving. Don't go in." Confused and hurt, she argued softly. Overwhelmed, I shouted recklessly, "Do you want everyone to laugh at me?" The second the words left my mouth, I regretted them. Chao Yusheng rounded the stairs just then, frowning sharply. Juju, don't speak to your mother like that. Mind your own business, I snapped, ignoring me. He gently supported my mother's arm. He'll walk you inside. Stay away from us. I shoved him hard. I never expected him to be so frail. He crashed heavily to the floor with a dull thud. Pain flashed across his face. Yet I left him there, dragging my mother away. She did not speak a single word on the bus ride home, sitting as far from me as possible. The next day of summer vacation, she packed a large woven bag. I'm heading to Shandong for 2 months with the construction crew, she said quietly. Stay with your grandmother in the countryside. I struggled to say I'm sorry. She left cash on the table, then closed the door with a heavy bang. The wind chime hanging by the entrance swayed violently, tinkling mournfully. Staring at its milky shell pendants, I broke down crying. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry, Chao Yusheng. 5 That summer was cold and lonely. I studied endlessly and helped my grandmother herd cattle on the hills. One afternoon, I fell asleep on the grass and woke beneath a sky thick with brilliant stars. Countless silver lights blazed bright, spilling across the sky like endless flowing starlight. In that peaceful moment, I missed Chao Yusheng unexpectedly. This silly brown bear would have clapped in delight, chattering endlessly in wonder at the sky. And term began. My mother returned thinner and darker from her distant work. She never mentioned our fight, chatting warmly about home-cooked meals on our ride back. I smiled and nodded, yet heard her quiet, weary sighs through the night. Chao Yusheng never returned to class. I cleared away our textbook barrier, smoothing the empty space between our desks. I promised myself I would apologize the moment he came back. He never did. As midterm exams neared, the teacher announced another parent-teacher conference. I called my mother nervously. Should I come again? She asked timidly. Tears pricked my nose. Please come. Wear whatever you like. The weather was mild and clear that day. My mother arrived with soft yellow curls and a brand-new blue dress, crisp and wrinkled. Is it too short? She asked shyly, tugging her skirt. It's perfect, I whispered, wiping quiet tears. I led her into the classroom, watching her sit straight and listen carefully. In that moment, all resentment between us faded away completely. After the conference, she told me Bright Moon Salon had called, selecting her as a lucky customer for a free makeover. Chao Yusheng. I sent my mother home by bus and rushed straight to the salon. I spotted him immediately through the shop window, reclining lazily on a sofa reading. Stepping inside, I whispered, "Thank you for helping my mom." He grinned simply. "Anytime. Your family gets free service forever." Ashamed, I stared down and noticed dark bruise marks dotting his chubby hands, injection scars from long-term hospital treatment. He quickly hid his hands between the pages of his book. Changing the subject, I said, "I've thought of a way to help Tang Zenying remember you." Eyes blazing with joy, he tossed his book aside. It slipped from the sofa and landed at my feet. The open page bore a title I would never forget, The Unbearable Lightness of Being. 6. The school prepared a National Day chorus performance, combining our class with Tang Zenying. She would play piano accompaniment. My plan was simple: have Chao Yusheng join with his violin, playing their childhood duet once more during rehearsals. Light with hope, he hurried back to school at once. His mother watched us leave with quiet sorrow in her eyes. I could not understand its meaning then, haunted by unspoken details I would later regret missing. Our first rehearsal was held in the music room on Sunday. Chao Yusheng dressed formally in a crisp white shirt, black trousers, and a bright red eye. Snickers echoed through the room as he entered. Stepping forward, I shielded him with my body. "Ignore them. Tang Zenying will be here soon." The room fell silent instantly. Tang Zenying stood in the doorway, her hair falling softly over her shoulders, slender and pale as winter plum blossoms. Without a word, she sat at the piano. "Shall we begin?" "Wait." Chao Yusheng stepped forward, lifting his violin. "Tang Zenying, do you remember Schubert Tesse Major Sonata?" She said nothing, her fingers brushing the piano keys. Soft piano notes filled the room, and Xiao Yusheng closed his eyes, drawing his bow. Melodic, intertwined music wove through the quiet classroom. Hey, gentle and warm as spring breeze. When the last note faded, he asked quietly, "Do you remember me now?" Staring at her piano keys, her cold voice rang out, "I don't." Loud gossip and laughter erupted instantly. The homeroom teacher put Xiao Yusheng away before he could speak further. We rehearsed for hours until dusk, and he returned pale and hollow. I led him beneath the blooming magnolia tree outside. Voice hoarse and broken, he whispered, "The teacher said I shouldn't participate. She wants a prettier accompanist for our class." Tears welled in his eyes. It hurts most that she truly forgot me. I wrapped my arms around him gently. He leaned into my shoulder, quiet sobs shaking his frame. Sweet magnolia scents surrounded us, a soft shelter for two lonely souls clinging to each other for warmth. 7 Xiao Yusheng sank into deep despair, growing sleepy and more withdrawn. Teachers eventually stopped waking him, even when he napped standing in class. Every attempt to comfort him was met with a lazy grin and a bag of snacks. "Quiet, Shushu," I poked his arm irritably. "You're the real sleepy pig." Senior year arrived, heavy with exam pressure. My mother turned down distant construction jobs to care for me full minus time. After monthly exams, the homeroom teacher called me to the office. Peking University is offering 2 recommendation spots. Your family struggles, and education changes everything. Don't waste this chance. I told Xiao Yusheng about the opportunity. "You'll do wonderfully," he mumbled. Falling asleep again, I buried myself in endless exam papers, driven by my mother's hopeful eyes. I claimed first place in midterms, the best performance of my high school career. Even the top student of class 1 fell 1 point behind, and Tang Xinying ranked third. Xiao Yusheng celebrated brighter than I did, his eyes crinkling into happy slits. "You're going to Peking University." Leaning on my desk, I smiled softly. Years of struggle had finally lightened my burden. Yet joy faded fast. 1 week after my recommendation, Xiao Yusheng dropped out of school entirely. His chronic drowsiness had worsened, overtaking him even during PE lessons. "I can't stay here anymore, Shushu," he told me quietly. "Where will you go?" "Overseas, probably." My throat tightened with unshed tears. I forced a smile. "That's wonderful. A great opportunity." "I'll miss you." He pulled me into a long, tight hug. I could not speak, trapped between friendship and something softer, unnamed and tender. Years later, I realized it was the simple embrace of a lonely bear clinging to his favorite jar of honey. Kate, after Xiao Yusheng left the country, I texted and called him constantly, sharing my exam results and university acceptance news. He replied faithfully to every message, except when I asked about his future university. Our dynamic shifted completely. Once quiet, I chattered endlessly, while he grew reserved and brave. University life grew busy with studies, clubs, and part-minus time jobs. I refused to let my mother bear our hardships alone. Our contact slowly faded. Resentful, I blamed his distant, carefree life abroad. On my birthday, I called 10 times with no answer. I sent a final message. "I'll never talk to you again." I waited all night on my balcony for his apology, until dawn painted the sky pink, sinking beneath the blooming magnolia tree. I cried bitterly, overwhelmed by loneliness. Once, he had cried for a girl who forgot him. Now, I cried because he forgot me. Why was I never worth being remembered? I threw myself into relentless work, landing a top job at a luxury perfume brand soon after graduation. I vowed to erase every trace of paint from my life, never again feeling discarded or forgotten. I lived alone in Beijing for 5 years, navigating heartbreaks, relationships, and career promotions. And my mother called. "Have always fragile. Years of paint fume exposure had damaged her lungs severely. I booked the earliest flight home on the bumpy plane ride. Surrounded by familiar hometown accents, I dreamed of high school. I saw myself scrubbing my hands and face raw in the senior restroom, hair soaked in cold. Then a chubby boy pulled me to the empty office, drying my hair slowly with a small hairdo. Your paint scent is sweet. Shoo shoo, he had said. Beneath the endless summer cicada song, that gentle moment felt eternal. Life is woven from cruel coincidences. My mother's attending doctor was Tang Zenying. We greeted each other calmly as mature strangers, timelessly beautiful. She carried quiet grace with age. Filling out medical forms, she suddenly glanced up. Do you still keep in touch with Chai Yusheng? I shook my head. It's been years. Guilt crossed her face. I've always wanted to apologize to him. I remembered him perfectly, but I was young and vain. I was ashamed of being friends with an overweight boy. His illness caused his condition. What illness? I froze. A rare neurological disorder that caused sudden narcolepsy. He struggled to stay awake even as a child. Steroid medication for treatment made him gain drastic weight. He was thin, unhandsome growing up. My breath caught sharply. Everything finally made sense. Why he collapsed at a single push, his endless exhaustion, the injection scars on his hands, the heavy book he read in quiet pain. Heart heavy and aching, I left the hospital in a daze. Bright Moon Salon stood shuttered, covered in transfer notices. I found Aunt Xiao at last. Her famous afro straightened into soft, gentle waves. Is Yusheng here? She smiled sadly and led me inside. Pointing to a framed junior high photo, she whispered, he was so handsome then. He hated his adult weight, so I kept this picture. Hair spilled freely. He never had a single friend, she said softly, stroking my hair. He feared chemotherapy until you won your recommendation. He decided to seek overseas treatment then, hoping to recover and protect you in Beijing. His treatment failed, but your messages kept him company until the end. Can't you? She whispered. You let him leave this world without loneliness. I broke down, crying helplessly in her arms. Back in my empty Beijing apartment, I watched an old film alone. A line echoed through the quiet room. We are meant to lose the people we love. How else would we know how important they are to us? Curling on the sofa, I felt a sharp, throbbing pain in my chest. I would meet countless people in the years ahead, tall, handsome, talented, ordinary. But I would never find another Chao Yusheng, clumsy and warm as a gentle brown bear. We met in a summer filled with cicada cries, bound by hidden scars and quiet secrets. He was weak, I was broken, the world saw us as shadows. Yet we became each other's only light, illuminating one another's dark, fragile youth. Chao Yusheng, I miss you.